Hello everyone, my name is Vlad, I'm here at Tree of Hope, and today we're going to be filming the first episode of the Speak Up podcast, and I brought my friend back from Frederick in here, so tell us your name.
I'm Xavier. I'm 17 years old, and I'm currently about to graduate from Phoenix Recovery Academy, which is a recovery high school in downtown Frederick, Maryland. It helps kids with drug addiction and mental health issues overcome and gives them a good opportunity to have a good network around them and people to support them. And I'll tell you what, before I got in there, I was struggling a lot. I didn't have the people around me that were supporting me in a positive manner. It was a lot of negative peer pressure around me. And I found out going to the school that surrounding yourself with positive environments, positive people is really helpful for living successfully mentally. Because before it was a real struggle. I'll wake up every morning not wanting to live really, and the only solution I had to that problem was getting high or getting drunk. And it was a really vicious cycle, because there wasn't anything else that I could do that would make me feel like I wanted to live my life really. So there was a lot of bottoms that I reached, and I'll tell you what, I needed every one of those bottoms in order to get better, because hitting those bottoms is what made me realize that I need help. And made me reach for help, ask for the help really. Because before I knew I needed help, but I didn't want to ask for it because I would tell myself it isn't that bad. I would internally say, I can handle this. Like this isn't as bad as I'm seeing it to be, or as people make it out to be.
Right. I have a couple questions for you. So like, what were the first signs that you were that you had a problem, like growing up? Tell me a little bit about your like early life, and what went wrong in that process.
So from a young age, I was always the type of kid who always wanted more. I was born in a household where I always had what I needed and a lot of times got what I wanted, but that was never enough for me. I never was content with what I had. And I had a lot of times in my life. And one thing that I realized that I could get as much of as I wanted if I tried hard enough was attention. So from a really young age, I really started grabbing for people's attention. Acting out here, saying this to this person. In class, I would yell at the teacher to get everybody's attention, to get in trouble. To seem like the cool kid. When internally, all I wanted was more. I wanted more attention. I wanted to just feel better because what I had was never enough.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were both your parents in your life growing up?
So, growing up, my mom and my dad, they were together for the first 8 years of my life. But what I didn't recognize at that time was my dad is actually he's drug addiction problems and alcohol problems as well. And I didn't recognize that at the time because my mom was shadowing it. She was making it seem like we lived this happy life, We had a happy family, we were all together, it was awesome.
Right.
And then at 8 years old, my parents got divorced. My mom moved out on her own and my dad stayed in the house. And that's when I really started to recognize, my dad isn't who I thought he was, which was hard, because growing up I always saw my dad as a superhero. I always saw him as like this man that I just like desired to be. And recognizing he isn't the man that I thought he was really difficult for me for a long time. And I still struggle with it at times today, and I can say that knowing that there's other people around me who have those same struggles, and that are willing to come help give me experience on what they've been through, and what they did about it.
Right. So what caused you to take that first drug or get drunk the first time?
Peer pressure, actually. It wasn't necessarily peer pressure, I guess, as much as it was I wanted to look cool. My brother, he's 2 years older than me. He woke me up in the middle of the night one time because both my parents, they smoked weed, which was the first thing I ever did. He woke me up and he said, "Hey, Xavier, next weekend at Dad's house, I'm gonna steal weed from Mom, and then we can sneak out and go smoke it. And I was, I think, 10 years old at the time, so I was pretty young. And I remember I thought, this is awesome. I'm finally gonna be able to do what I want to do to make me look cool, and everybody's gonna start liking me, because I'm doing what everybody seems to be doing that are cool.
Right.
So that's what I did. We went out, we smoked. I didn't really get high because I was 10 years old, so I didn't know how to properly smoke,
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I thought I was the coolest person.
Yeah.
I thought I was the coolest person ever, I remember we went to the movies that night, and I was just trying to act all high, I was trying to act cool. And really, it was the start of an endless cycle that I didn't even recognize.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you say in that, like, throughout using, what are some things that you, like, lost?
Trust is a really big one. A lot of people lost a lot of trust in me, which was really hard because for me, I need trust in order to manipulate people, and without that trust, I wasn't able to manipulate people, which is kind of what broke me because it made me realize that the trust is what I was using to manipulate people, and it opened my eyes to what I was actually doing and who I was becoming. And I lost a lot of at 10 years old to 16 years old, there's not a lot of material things you can lose. You can't lose a car, you can't lose a house, you can't lose like a girlfriend or kids or husband, wife. Like, there's not much of that kind of stuff that you can lose. But I did lose a lot of the mental stuff. A lot of my happiness was fading. A lot of my motivation was fading. I didn't really want to do anything. I just wanted to wake up and get high because that's all I wanted to do, and that's what made me feel okay.
Yeah, and I actually remember like seeing you. For those who don't know, I was actually there throughout Xavier's early recovery process, and like I know you did try like a couple times and didn't succeed in that. So like, would you speak more on that of like what went wrong in those attempts that you did try to get sober?
So, in my first attempts to get sober, see the thing about it is I wouldn't even necessarily call them attempts because I didn't give it my full try. I didn't really try because I didn't believe I had it in me, and that's what I was lacking. A lot of other people wanted it for me, and I figured, if other people want it for me enough, then I can do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe in myself enough to be able to do it. I came in to a 12-step program, and I told everybody that I was doing what needed to be done. And in reality, I wasn't doing anything that needed to be done. I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't being honest with others around me. And I continued to manipulate. I continued to lie, which is a big thing. Is if you want to change what you're doing, like if you want to stop using drugs, then you have to change what you're doing. Is what I'm trying to say in a way. Like I can't continue using drugs I can't get sober off of drugs if I'm doing the things I was doing while I was using drugs.
Yep.
Because it's two paths that just lead back to the same road,
Yeah.
And I just, I didn't change my environment too. That was a big thing. I was surrounding myself with the same people that I was getting high with, and I was expecting myself to not get high, which it's not really a recipe for success.
Mm-hmm.
You're just setting yourself up for failure down the line.
Right. So what's different this time around?
This time around, the biggest thing is I believe in myself. Really, the biggest thing is that I trust that I can do this, and so far I have. And I've changed my environments. I've beginning to be honest when I don't want to be honest, which is a really hard thing for me at times because lying is the easiest thing to me. If I tell the truth in this situation, then things are going to go bad, and but the biggest thing is if I lie, I have to tell myself, well, they're going to figure out the truth eventually, so it's better to tell them up front right now.
Yeah.
Which is really important.
That is very important.
Yeah.
What are your favorite like coping mechanisms? Like if you get a craving or if you're struggling, what are some things that you can do or like that you tell yourself in those moments?
So one of the biggest things you can do is call somebody, talk to somebody,
Mm.
you know, somebody who's been there before in the situation you're in. Let's say there's a certain trigger that gave you this craving. Talk to somebody who you know has some sort of problems with that. And you know, if you're not able to call somebody or talk to somebody, you just have to let yourself know. Or for me, what I let myself know is, you know, this will pass. You know, this too will pass.
Mm.
This is a temporary moment.
Yeah.
Eventually, at some point, it might not be right now, it might not be tomorrow, and it might not be the next day, but this is going to pass. Most things in life are temporary, and you know, I just keep doing that. Physical activity is another really important coping mechanism for me, because whenever I'm struggling, I'm going through something really hard, you know, I'm talking to people, I'm telling myself all these positive things, all these things that'll help me get through something, and I'm just still, you know, struggling really bad, and I'm still down on myself. It's really important for me to go out and do something physical, because that's a way for me to get outside of myself. You know, whenever let's say I'm running, you know, I go for a run, I'm not focusing on what's going on, I'm focusing on finishing this run, you know, because I'm not a runner, I don't enjoy running as much, and you know, all I'm focusing on is finishing. You know, whenever I'm working out, if I'm bench pressing, the only thing I'm focusing is getting this bar off my chest, you know. Like things like that, that'll distract me in a positive way are important for me. Listening to music too, you know, that's another one. I'm not focusing on what's going on, I'm focusing on the lyrics of the song, you know.
It can be like a form of meditation.
Yeah, a form of meditation, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, you know.
Awesome. What are your plans for the future?
So, as of right now, I'm focusing on becoming a peer, getting a CPRS certification, and hopefully helping out other people who struggle with the same things that I was struggling with, and trying to guide them in ways that I was guided, you know, give them healthy coping mechanisms, give them somebody to talk to even, you know, because a lot of people, and I know I didn't have somebody that I was comfortable talking to, when I was going through something hard, because I feel like I was going to get judged, you know. I feel like they're going to take this thing that I said and just go tell everybody else, you know. Go just spread it all over the world, and then everybody knows that, you know, I did this thing that I'm not proud of, and I was just trying to get it off my chest, you know. So being that for somebody else, I feel like would be really, really helpful for me, even just to know that I have, you know, the ability to do that for somebody, and hopefully helpful to other people. So,
yeah, and what would be like a message that you have for the camera of like, if there's an adolescent out there that's using right now and doesn't know how to stop, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to them?
it gets better if you try, you know. It might not seem like it, you know, the first few days sober, you're gonna go through withdrawals, you know, those suck. But after those withdrawals end, you're gonna wanna go back, you know, but you just have to tell yourself and remind yourself that it will get better as long as you have the people around you that are there to support you. You know, for a long time I didn't think it was gonna get better, which is why I didn't wanna get sober, because I was thinking, you know, if I'm already this broken, I'm already this lost, how can it get better? You know, there is no reverting what's already happened. When, you know, you have to think about it, you're still young, you know, there's still a lot of life to be lived, and living it miserable is not a very good way to live your life. So just, you know, surround yourself with a good environment, good people, you know, people who want the best for you, because the people who want the best for you are the ones that are always going to be there for you. The people that, you know, are using drugs with you and don't really care for you if you don't have anything, then, you know, those are the people that aren't going to be there when you get sober. They're the people that don't want the best for you. They want your downfall, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Xavier. I really appreciated this. And if you guys want more information about Tree of Hope, go to our website at treeofhopeassn.com. Thank you for listening.